Hello everyone. How are you this bright COVID Wednesday? I haven't recorded anything, any tutorial, any how-tos for a while because I still haven't bought another camera. I'm still using the cell phone, and I know that my videos weren't turning out very well. But I thought today maybe I could do something for all the parents that are home homeschooling their kids and give them just a little chance to teach your child something very valuable: how to measure. I can't believe how many people, even adults, have no clue how to measure. Probably half of my adult classes that came to me and wanted to do things in the shop the first thing I had to do was teach them how to measure. They wanted to build kitchen cabinets and bookshelves and all kinds of things and didn't have a clue how to measure. And they went to Home Depot or Lowe's and brought a folding rule or a zigzag rule with them that was the engineer's scale, the engineer's rule. It wasn't even inches and fractions of an inch. So anyway, this might be valuable for adults as well. A simple way to teach kids how to measure is take a strip of paper like this, and if you look on your ruler, even your school ruler, the longest line is the 1 inch line, or the inch lines. And actually, inches are just fractions of a foot. It's 1 inch is 1/12 of a foot. The first thing you can have them do with this strip of paper is fold it in half. Now you divided the paper into two pieces. The number on the bottom is 2, and that's the halves. And the halves are the next longest line on the rule. The number on the bottom tells you how many pieces you broke it into, 1, 2. The number on the top tells you how many pieces you're using. Take that same piece of paper, fold it to the half, and fold it one more time. And now you broke it into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's fourths or quarters. We know that the number on the bottom is going to be a 4. 1/4, we used 1 piece, 1/4. 2 pieces, that's 2/4, but it reduces to 1/2. 3 pieces, 3/4. And you can see that the line is just a little bit shorter again. So every time you see that line, at least you know a number 4 is going to go on the bottom, the denominator, the bottom of the fraction. Take that same piece of paper, fold it back the way you did it already, and fold it again. And now, in essence, what you're doing each time is you're multiplying by 2. And you broke it into 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that line is a little shorter again. 1/8, 2/8, but it reduces to 1/4. 3/8, 4/8, but it reduces to 1/2. 5/8, 6/8 reduces to 3/4, and 7/8. As you see now, if you want to tell the fraction on the top, you just look to that length line. The 1/8 inch line is a little shorter again than the 1/4 inch line. So 1, 3, 5, 7. You're counting by 2 odd numbers by 2. 1, 3. The younger kids, you might want to stop at 1/4 and get them to grab that concept if they're a little older, the 1/8, and a little older. And for you adults that want to build furniture and don't know how to measure, fold it another time. Although to build furniture, we measure to the 32nd and maybe even a little finer. And now we broke it into 16 parts, and those lines are a little shorter again. 1/16, counting by twos, 3/16, 5/16, 7/16 is right before the half. 9/16 is right after the half. 11/16. Made that line a little long. 13/16. And 15/16. And 1 inch, of course, would be 16/16, or it would be 8/8, or it would be 4/4 or 4/4. So these, of course, do get smaller and smaller. The 32nds would be a smaller line. The 64ths would be smaller lines. And that goes on and on. So that might be a good way and a good little cheater for your child to start to learn to measure. I began to realize many years ago with my own children, they covered measuring like maybe in the 5th grade during one little block of fractions in math, and then the kids never used it again. So it's understandable that they don't know how to measure. But I'm still totally amazed that the most amazing thing is adults came to class and wanted to build things. And that's great. I'm glad they came. Don't get me wrong. And I enjoyed every one of them. They were all great. A lot of really fun people. But they didn't have any idea that they would have to know how to measure. Even more unbelievably, some guys in the trade don't know how to measure, but that's a whole other subject. If you want to continue with that lesson, you can have the kids start to look up and name some different measuring tools. Here are just a few, because there's probably hundreds of them. Here's a 1-foot ruler. This one happens to have metrics on the other side, metric measure, millimeters and centimeters. Here's a little scale rule. Machinists, or I use it in the shop, the cabinet shop, but machinists and automotive people tend to use that a little bit more. A zigzag rule, or a folding rule, or a foot rule. It has an extension so you can measure inside in between things. Put this against a corner, extend this, and of course you have to do some math, because here's 13, and you would have to add 4.5. 13 plus 4.5, I think that might come to 17.5. Then there's all kinds, sizes and shapes of tape measures, steel tapes, a variety of squares, combination square, which is a really neat tool. You can use it as a marking gauge. It has 45-degree angle, 90-degree angle, which of course is all measuring too. A miter square, because it has the 45-degree miter here and the 90 here. Some of these come up straight, and then they would be considered a tri-square. And the ever-popular speed square. A lot of information on this. Framing squares, a little larger. I didn't get one of those out because it's just a little larger. And another different size combination square. Here's a yardstick. You might have one of these around. I know my mom kept one around for her sewing. I use it mostly to scratch my back. There are marking gauges, calipers, and the list of measuring tools just goes on and on. So maybe you can have the kids learn how to measure, learn the names of the different measuring tools, have them do a scavenger hunt, let them go down in Grandpa's old dusty toolbox and see what tools they can find. Here's a different kind of folding rule. So anyway, there's just a small educational activity, and I think a really valuable one for kids to learn and everyone to know. Learn how to measure. I hope that helped a little bit, and I hope it gave you an activity you can use with your kids during this COVID lockdown. Thank you. Oh, subscribe to the channel and like it if you would, please.